Listen to part of a discussion in a botany class. The professor has been discussing plant reproduction strategies.
In our previous session, we examined pollination mechanisms. Today, we are focusing on what happens afterward. Can someone tell me what comes after?
Fruiting, right?
Yes. More academically, it's called seed setting. Seeds, like pollen, need to be dispersed by agents. What agents are there?
Well, wind, of course. One example that springs to mind is dandelions.
Good answer. Wind, like in pollination, sure works as an agent for seed dispersal. Okay, what about animals?
Chipmunks and squirrels. They gather nuts and hide them all around the forest. And nuts are a type of seed.
Good answer. Some mammals do serve as seed dispersal agents. We will discuss them later in the class. But first, let's discuss birds. Now, why birds? What are the differences between birds and mammals as seed dispersers?
Well, birds fly while mammals don't. So birds can carry seeds to more distant places?
Logical assumption. And that is correct, partially. Birds have shorter digestive systems than mammals. So, yes, birds travel faster and farther, but the time it takes for them to excrete seeds is shorter, which gives mammals an advantage as seed dispersers in some cases. Well, one major difference between birds and mammals is the absence and existence of teeth, which means what?
Oh, I see. Birds swallow seeds, so they don't damage them. However, mammals have teeth, and they could damage seeds while biting and chewing them.
Definitely. Mastication, or chewing, does pose a risk for seeds. Well, let's start to discuss dispersal of seeds by birds, or ornithochory. Ornithochorous plants, that is, plants that rely on ornithochory, typically produce fruits with specific features. First, they're often brightly colored, particularly red, black, blue, or purple. Colors that birds can easily detect. Second, these fruits usually lack strong odors, which makes sense because most birds have a relatively poor sense of smell, compared to their excellent vision. Third, the fruits are generally small enough for birds to consume, but large enough to be nutritionally rewarding.
So the birds swallow the fruits whole and digest them?
That's an important point. In most cases, while birds digest the fleshy part of the fruit, the pulp, the seeds pass through their digestive tract unharmed. This is because bird-dispersed seeds typically have protective coatings that resist digestive enzymes.
Professor, does that mean that all bird-dispersed seeds work the same way?
Not exactly. We can identify two main strategies in ornithochory. The first and most common is endozoochory, which is what I just described. Birds consume the entire fruit, digest the pulp, and excrete the intact seeds. But there's also synzoochory, where birds like jays and nutcrackers actually collect and cache seeds for later consumption. Many of these cached seeds are never retrieved, giving them an opportunity to germinate. Now, regarding the characteristics of ornithochory, there are several key strategic advantages. First, and perhaps most obviously, it allows plants to colonize new habitats beyond their immediate vicinity. Second, it reduces competition between parent plants and their offspring. Third, in what ecologists call directed dispersal, seeds may be deposited in locations particularly suitable for the plant species.
Professor, can you give us an example of this directed dispersal?
Sure. Consider mistletoes, which are parasitic plants that grow on the branches of host trees. Their seeds are dispersed primarily by birds called mistletoe birds. These birds consume the mistletoe berries but are unable to digest the extremely sticky seeds. After about 20 to 30 minutes, the birds wipe the seeds off their beaks onto tree branches. Precisely where the mistletoe needs to be, to successfully germinate and establish itself on a new host.
Mistletoe birds sound like they've developed special adaptations for this specific relationship.
They have. Just as plants have evolved fruits attractive to birds, many bird species have evolved adaptations for fruit consumption. Some frugivorous, or fruit-eating birds, have specialized digestive systems that process fruit pulp very quickly, allowing them to consume large quantities of fruit daily. Others have bill structures specifically adapted for handling particular fruit types. For instance, toucans have long bills that help them reach fruits at the ends of branches. What's particularly fascinating is the mutualistic nature of these relationships. The plants provide nutritional rewards in the form of fruit pulp, while the birds provide the service of seed dispersal. This is a classic example of coevolution. The reciprocal evolutionary adaptation, in interacting species.